All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm currently uploading the Ret Paladin PvP, or that's stupid, Paladin versus Paladin PvP guide, the first one that I've ever done on the channel. Still a little bit sick, but I came back to Discord to some data mine news about a bunch of new librams. And then I saw this down here, and I just had to make a video on it. All these librams, one thing I hate about them, they're fine, is that they're all really holy shock librams. Maybe the Crusader libram, Crusader Strike restores an additional 10% of your maximum mana. That might make or break some more mana starved deep retribution builds. People were asking for that, so okay, fine, whatever. If you had to choose for like a holy shock paladin, though, right? A holy shock paladin's only real weakness is the fact that they run out of mana like a mother. Like, damn. So the best way to actually defeat a holy shock paladin is literally just to out heal them until they try not to let them hit you. That's the only real way to do it when they're when they're geared properly, right? Nice and thick, can't really be burst out of existence. Tons of mana to work with, lots of plus healing gear, sacred shield, blah 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 blah. So if I had to choose between these three, it's like, okay, the Avenger Shield one is definitely the offensive one of the three. The Wrath one is actually kind of terrifying, depending upon how long it lasts. Like, does it last 10 seconds at 5 stacks, 15 seconds at 5 stacks, or does it last like a minute? That could be some very interesting burst play, like a kind of Paladin Wreck Bomb. But the Libram of Plenty, man, this is probably over. This is too much. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is way too much at plus 10%. If it was plus 5%, it would probably be competitive with the other Librams, believe it or not. And yes, I'm aware that this is competing with, like, your mini-me Squire summon and yada, yada, yada. But anyways, the purpose why I wanted to make this video, this is absolutely terrifying, doing double damage with Avenger Shield. Avenger Shield is one of the main reasons why a Holy Shock Paladin on 15-second cooldown is why a Holy Shock Paladin ooms so damn quickly, believe it or not. But is right here. So me and Tello knew this was coming because I made a video basically complaining about it. And then Tello basically messaged one of the devs asking about it, and they said this was coming, and he said as much in a video. But if you don't know what you're looking at here, we'll show it in more detail. Basically, they're putting intellect on the PvP ret gear, and thank God for that, right? Thank God for that. The great irony here, and I was kind of complaining about it down at the bottom there. The great irony to me in all of this is that I might now end up in a world where I'm getting absolutely annihilated by ret-tard paladins in PvP because someone advocated, I don't know who the hell who did this. Someone yelled at Blizzard enough that they put intellect on the damn PvP gear. Unironically, that was me. That's why Minnow is like, dude, they listened to you. No. There's a weird fun fact about my channel is when I make videos, yeah, they don't have a lot of views, but let me tell you something. The quality of my viewership on my channel is definitely top notch. Basically, you can't be a top tier Paladin PvPer without knowing Drakova or Palytime. It'd be really hard for you to. I'll just leave it at that, okay? So I'm all like, damn, I got you guys your gear, and now I might have to suffer the consequences of you guys telling me that I'm stupid. But at least this makes gearing more interesting. So, for example, if I bounce on over here to Wowhead, the gear is available to put on. So I'm going to pause the video really fast, and I'm going to gear up a set of Marshals plate. The fact that they've taken the intellect at the cost of like a little bit of spell damage and healing, that's fine because Ret Paladins actually don't scale all that well with spell damage and healing. They scale a lot better with plus healing than they do with a spell damage and healing, like unironically. It's just because it's like a 50% bonus or something stupid like that. So if this piece of gear, rather than it being like, 21 spell damage and healing, if it was just plus plus healing, it would be like, plus 50% more. So it'd be like 30 or something like that. That's the only reason it scales better. Other than that, we would prefer spell damage and plus healing. But this makes gearing for Paladin far more interesting and far more dynamic, because now you can make like a Holy Shock Paladin hybrid. Holy Reckoning is suddenly on the menu. Mixing and matching plus healing gear or non-plus healing gear. Yada, yada, yada. It's just fuel for the fire, basically. It's going to send me into overtime looking at different gear designs. If I recall correctly, and I'm going to pause the video here in a second, gear this thing up. If I recall correctly, our previous outing into the Field Marshal's headgear, which caused me to go off on a rant against Blizzard. By the way, I'm gonna clap. This is a W. Thank you very much. Whoever the hell at Blizzard actually listens to Pally Time or secretly hates my fucking guts and wishes I would shut the hell up. One of the two. Yeah, we had 6,700 HP and like a 2,400 mana bar in the previous Marshals gear. So that was way too much HP, believe it or not. Way too much HP. You start factoring in Sacred Shield and any kind of fire resist going on, you're like over surviving every burst in the game there is. The reason why that's bad for the PvP meta game design in Season of Discovery, in Classic World of Warcraft by extension, is because you don't want players to be surviving bursts 100% of the time unless they literally had to do something terrible and awful to their gearing. What you want is for players that if they gear defensively, they can survive incoming bursts about like, 80% of the time, somewhere between 30 to 80% of the time. And then you want the game to basically, mathematically, need to be able to put burst after burst after burst in their target before they mathematically will explode. That's exactly how Classic World of Warcraft PvP works. Take Shaman in Classic World of Warcraft, for example. When they activate their 3-minute cooldown ability, their burst is strong enough that they can kill just about anything in the game. But if said thing, for example, pushes Whipperroot Tuber or pushes Healing Potion or finds a Burrower Shell trinket or an Arena Grandmaster trinket or I'm trying to think of the other one. Even Fire Reflector trinkets are pretty messed up. Actually, that's not true, right? That wouldn't work. What's the other one I'm trying to remember here? Major Recombobulator trinket. There's a bunch of like, oh crap, I'm about to die, let me push button, and then suddenly you survive that burst. And then without that automatic, free crit or that nature swiftness, every just normal burst coming out of a shaman has about a 30% chance to delete you out of existence. If you gear better, they have like a 20% chance to delete you out of existence. But that's just a really good place for PvP to be. I made a video on that a while ago. But yeah, so it was way too much HP at 6,700. Like when I run around with like 5,400 HP and like 190 fire resist and 450 sacred shields, ain't nothing blowing me the F up except for frost mages. But that's only because they can stun me for 5 seconds and then silence me for 4 seconds and do like 12,000 damage. Right, so since they gave the Marshals gear intellect, specifically at the cost of health, that's actually fine. It would have been slightly better if they had given them intellect at the cost of strength, which is what I suggested. But I'm also painfully aware that, how do I put this? If you were a deep rep paladin in phase 5, you could trip and fall and into having enough HP that you would survive just about every burst in the game. Like there would be like no gearing nuance, no intellect required. It's just like, oh, I wear gear and I can't be blown up, which would have more of a TBC feel than an actual classic WoW feel. So I'm kind of happy about this, but I'll look at it here in a second and we'll go from there. Oh God, I'm never gonna hear the end of it from the redheads. Belly time, it works so good. You're a moron. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Whoa. Yeah. So hold up here. Is there a reason that this is a 6-set piece and the 3-set bonus reduces the cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 10 seconds? Because at some point I'm wondering if I can like put 2 sets of 3 and get like a 20% cooldown on my Hammer of Justice. Just a question. Because 25-second Hodges sound kind of messed up, especially if I -6 from 25. So really I'm getting that every 19 seconds. I'm going to stun you for 6 seconds. Keep in mind that the DR on a stun is 16 seconds. So if you made my Hodge any 4 seconds faster, it would make it worse. Yeah, I'm not sure I like that. Probably an easy fix though. Just make them linked, right? So it can't go below 35%. But I guess we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that would be interesting. 25-second Hodge stuns. Control Ret would be back with a vengeance, and Paladin would be overpowered as all hell. So be advised. All right, we're back, and I'm more vexed than anything. All right, so what we got going on here is we got the a full 6 set. I could throw on like 2 double 3s. That might even be better. We got a couple of Judgment pieces, but they're core forged because I think this is the better 2-set bonus. I could be wrong about that. I would almost prefer Tier 1 because it has fire resist on it, like unironically. Prefer Tier 1 because it has fire resist on it, but we'll just roll with this kind of a deal. We still have Rings of Entropy. I'm still a big fan of Rings of Entropy. They don't really get any better in Blackwing Lair, and that's like the sad truth of it. Stamina, Blackwing, improved chance hit with spells, damage and healing. Yeah, hit is not the same as crit, right? Stamina, intellect, healing, and spell damage. Dragon Master's Ring. Yeah, it doesn't get any better. The Ring of Reckoning is still the Ring of Reckoning, so I might have to pick that up. It's called the Ring of Reckoning for a reason. Chance to hit with spells. It's just stamina, intellect, spell crit. I mean, melee crit is just really, really hard to find, and you're basically kind of stuck doing Rings of Entropy. So we're just going to rock Rings of Entropy here for a hot second. If we're rocking Rings of Entropy, our critical strike is actually pretty damn high, which is fine. Health is... There's no talents going on here, I do believe. Yeah, there's the intellect talents. Let me strip those out. Yeah. You got about 4,000. Your mana breakpoint for a Deep Ret Paladin is going to be somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000. So the fact that this thing just sits at 4,000 without breaking a sweat is pretty damn awesome. She has nearly 6k standing HP. Her fire resist would go up by 20 if we activate Heart of the Scale. So we're looking at 153 fire resist. Mostly that's due to the fact that you're still rocking a fireproof cloak. And of course, you know, all the little buffs are fire resists. We, of course, can do other gnarly things, such as Swift Twitch Out, defense, healing, strength. No. Yeah, we could go 20 stamina, 10 intellect, then plus 22 healing, which isn't bad, right? That's not the worst idea in the world. At that point, you would gain something stupid, like an extra 400 HP. And a little bit of plus healing. I don't really advise that. I can probably showcase why I wouldn't really advise that mathematically. I just threw on an Oshkondi here because at 81, almost 82 standing DPS with like plus 86 attack power, this thing is absolutely not messing around in Season of Discovery. If I recall correctly, she wasn't 81 in Classic WoW. I think she's like 70. I want to say 76. But I know that the Grand Marshal's Claymore is 77. I really don't know. 86 divided by 14 equals plus 82 equals. Yeah, so this weapon basically has 88 DPS assigned to it. Probably 89 if you have, like, kings, and well, actually it doesn't affect kings, so it wouldn't really matter. That's objectively disgusting. So if I go down here to damage, you can see we're doing 141 white damage. That is a terrifying amount of white damage. This does not include the critical strike, which the critical strike is actually very high because, Rings of Entropy have critical strike. The Judgment Belt has critical strike. The Bindings have critical strike. Just about everything that's dog on here has melee critical strike. The only one that doesn't, of course, is the Fireproof Cloak. Dixie Toothpen has critical strike. Okay, cool. Whether or not this mana bar will be sufficient, of course, will be dictated by the Librams, of course. Like, if you throw on Libram Plenty and they're weird enough to keep it at 20%, it's going to get really weird really fast. Increase the range of your shock spell by 20 yards, but reduce the damage it deals by 75%. Huh. Can we make that cheaper on the mana cost? Otherwise, what the fuck are we doing with this? I don't understand. You could make it 50% reduction. That would make more sense. If this says to 75%, that would make more sense. By 75 is like just stupid. I can do math. I know what that means. That it means it does nothing. 75% of something is basically nothing. So yeah. But if you go with Libram of Plenty, of course, then you suddenly don't need all this mana. But believe it or not, there's still tactical situations where you want the mana. For example, you're fighting a Boomkin. He won't let you anywhere near him. He keeps pestering you with instant cast spells, and he is just looking to stun you for like the 3-second stun, and then Kamehameha on you. And he's basically, the Boomkin's going to do this until one of you runs out of mana and dies. Well, if you have this nice standing fat mana pool, it's going to be a hell of a lot harder for them to do that than it would be if we're running around with, like, 2,000 mana. 2,000, 500 mana, and then hoping that Libram of Plenty and, Divine Steed is going to get the job done. Not really advisable. No, this looks good and serviceable. I would like it more, just me personally. I would tweak this or tweak that. But no, this is just fine. At least I have some mana to work with now, so that's good. What else is there to say about this? Oh, right. You're gonna have to make quite the. Oh, right. You're gonna make quite the number of sacrifices to get your fire resist gear up. Right. So if it was me, I would actually have law on here, unironically. We want the ret law, right? Stamina, intellect, critical strike. No, we want the plus healing one, I think. Right? I don't know, man. Let's get ret and see what happens. Strength, stamina, holy spells, chance to hit with spells and attacks. What the fudge is this? Chance to hit with spells and attacks as opposed to crit? So the plus healing one is better because it has double crit. Interesting. Okay. Good to know. Thank you. Stamina, intellect, fire resist, plus healing, critical strike. Yeah, we're going to go with double plus healing because it has critical strike. I don't want to lose a critical strike just in exchange for some attack power. That doesn't make any, and plus 1% hit. Not really what I'm down for. Yeah, so we pick up a little bit of fire resist, which is going to go a long way. So now we have 40 fire resist. If I activate this thing right here, we'll go up to 65 fire resist. I feel like 160 fire resist is the break point because that's at the point where you can still rely on the 100% minus 25%. Consistently, even if the enemy has spell pen. Yeah, we did go down in HP a little bit, which sucked. Wow, we went up in mana considerably. Damn, all right. Gained some mana, I guess. Plus healing is now 278. Of course, you know me. I would start stripping off 3 pieces of this damn ret gear and put on the plus healing gear, and then get me an extra, 200... stamina, put this thing over 6K, but it's actually 5,900. Yeah, it'd be like 6,100 HP. But the reason why I want to show that this is important is this, right? So let's remember this. This is 5,900. Okay, cool. And let me switch over to these stupid little librams here. Boop. And boop. 20 stamina, intellect, plus healing. Okay, cool. So you can see we gain like 400 HP. But if I look at my fire resist is no longer dependable. And so you do switching out even more gear, and you just be saying basically to hell with your fire resist, blah, 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 blah. Very quickly, this HP number, yeah, you see the mana bar going up as well. This HP number would probably get up to something stupid like, 6,500, or your DPS would go up or something of that nature, yada, yada, yada. In order to get blown up in this build, let's just do a standing HP check, right? Yeah, you can see my critical strike went up with the Lawbringer change. It's definitely gained a percent of critical strike. Stamina, I need plus healing. 322, okay. So 322 times 0.4 equals plus 245 equals. So we have 373, we'll say 374 sacred shields. So 374 times 2 equals, so we have about 750 sacred shield if we're getting blown up inside of 2 seconds. But there's no fire damage reduction. So it's just going to be like your 6,500 HP plus like a 750 HP shield. So the enemy would need more than 7,250 burst damage to kill you, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That's if I'm being generous, and I'm giving it like an extra 300 or an extra 200 HP when you swap around the Rings of Entropy and take off the Fireproof Cloak, or keep the Rings of Entropy and remove the Fireproof Cloak and change out this thing right here and blah, 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 blah. I don't need a Coronation anymore because we're not going that route, yada, yada, yada. Let's compare the other Paladin. The other Paladin was 5,900 when he didn't have this. Instead, he had the fire resist. Scroll down. This is just how good this stupid fire resist librams are. You can see that he definitely gets to the 125% without breaking a sweat. 5,900 HP. This guy has... Wow, even less plus healing. Interesting. Oh, right, because of the librams? Oh, they had 22 plus healing each? Qua? Yeah, they did have 22 plus healing each. Nice. Okay. So, Sacred Shield here is 278. Again, this is like a rep Paladin build. Times 0.4 equals plus 245 equals, okay, cool, 356. 356 times 2 equals, okay, cool, plus 590 for our standing effective HP. So rather than 725, we can only resist a burst of 6,600. But hold on to your butts, because we haven't factored in fire resist. So even in Phase 4, we'll go with Phase 4 numbers, even though those numbers are probably going to be significantly higher in Phase 5. Or not significantly. More than likely, critical strike chance goes up and spell power goes up a little bit. Okay, so let's put it this way. Let's say that those 2,400 lava burst crits and those 2,400 explosive trap crits, let's say now they're doing 2,600 for the sake of argument. 2,600. Let's say now they're doing 2,600 when they crit. I multiply that by 0.75. You can see that we've saving 650 HP on that. So I got to come back here and I got to go 6,000 whatever, and then I have to add another 650 HP, and voila, we are pretty much just as durable for resisting those bursts as the other Paladin, except we are slightly better because we have a much higher probability of resisting grenade stuns, goblin mortar stuns, which is very important. All other things that we got going on is 25% is the low roll on 160 fire resist. The average damage reduction from fire is 40%, which means that it's only like 1 in 4 times you get hit with those spells that it'll crit and only be minus 25%. The vast majority of the time, okay, is 25%? Yep. Yeah, I think it is. It's going to be like 25, 30% of the time, something like that. My bad. Like 70% of the time, somewhere around there. You're going to get way better results from your fire resist than that is. So definitely a big fan of fire resist. Still, as you might imagine, I would change this significantly. Like I would just use plus healing gear instead, to be perfectly honest. Mostly because the damn plus healing gear has spell power on it now, which I don't know what to think of. Wait, this is law. Marshals, Marsh. Um, we've seen this in TBC. I'm very familiar with this from my theory crafting videos in TBC. Spell plus healing and spell power is some of the most interesting spell statage I've ever seen in the history of World of Warcraft. But from lots of PvP testing on the PvP server, I can tell you with pretty damn certainty that this type of statting is actually busted. It's a little bit overpowered, believe it or not. It's a bit much too much, believe it or not. It might be toned down somewhat from TBC. I can look at my old videos. I vaguely remember it being like a 50% of the plus healing was spell damage. This seems to be closer to like a third of the plus healing is spell damage, so maybe they toned it down somewhat for Season of Discovery. But it is a little bit broken because any class that is running around with plus healing gear on is already stupidly hard to kill. And if they're able to do any kind of damage at the same time, that's when stuff starts getting a little bit out of hand. So, for example, one of the best Paladin builds in TBC was half your gear was plus healing gear, specifically because it had this kind of split to it, and the other half of your gear was pure spell damage and healing gear. Yeah. So that's interesting. So I'll pause the video really here, and I'll make the Paladin that I would want to be in Season of Discovery Phase 5, just so we can have a look at her really fast here. But yeah, it does look like you're going to have enough mana to actually be a deep rep Paladin, and life will not suck all that terribly much for you in the grand scheme of things. You're still going to feel it, but it's not that bad. All right, let me pause. Is this a bad joke? What is this? Hero's Brand. 6 stamina, 12 intellect, increased critical strike chance of holy shock, damage of holy spells. Freethinkers set, 5 pieces. 3 set bonus. Increase damage done by your holy shock spell by 50%. 5 set bonus. Reduce the cooldown of your exorcism by 3 seconds. Yeah, Freethinkers, my ass. More like no thinkers gear. Damn, okay. I push buttons, you die now. Good one. What the balls? Trying to find a neck piece here. So far, not really finding one all that much to my liking in the grand scheme of things. But looking into this, looking into that. Choker of Enlightenment. I remember there wasn't really any good neck pieces, which is really annoying. Definitely don't want that. Oh well, whatever. Maybe I just go thicker. This is like your quest reward, if I recall correctly. It competes with some really good leg gear, but I guess we don't need that in Season of Discovery. Dragon's Eye. Damn, man, that Freethinkers is messed up. Absolutely messed up. Banana. Someone said Nerfs. Yeah. Alright, well, we'll go with this one, see what happens. I'm trying to get this mana bar up. It won't move up. Only got 6,641 HP. The plus healing is kind of low. Not super happy. might have to do with the fact I got like a Ring of Reckoning and a Master Dragon Slayer. So I'm not really digging what I'm doing so far here. So I might have to actually think about this. Yeah, we're definitely not getting killed. That's for sure. We're over 200 fire resist. 6,600. So at this point, what's going on is breakpoints become a thing. Breakpoints weren't really a thing in Phase 4 because you kind of had to gear as durable as you possibly could within reason. And you had barely any wiggle room to even mention breakpoints. But right now we're way past breakpoints, man. So I need to like start stripping health out of this bar and start increasing this mana bar a bit. And I got to get this plus healing up in this gearing, or otherwise this just isn't going to work. So that's cool. If I learned anything over the years, it's that I want as close to all stats gear as I can get my hands on. I'm keeping the Ret helmet and the Ret, I do believe it is the gauntlets. And the reason for this is because you're just not getting better stats. I tried mixing and matching the sets. One sec, I'm still sick. Let me blow my nose real fast. Damn. Okay. Ah, terrible. Recovering though. But what was I saying? Yeah. So I tried doing like a 4 set, PvP, and then like a 4 set, like tier 1 or tier 2 set thing. Absolutely terrible. The tier 1 sets are very well itemized for PV. My bad. The tier 2 and the tier 1 are very well itemized for PvE and very poorly itemized for PvP. And I'll show that real fast here. So the reason why we're keeping the helmet is one has 40 stamina and 20 intellect, and the other one has 39 stamina and 15 intellect. But it also has strength and some spell damage and healing. All you get extra out of this one is like MP5, a little bit more intellect, and a little bit more plus healing. It's just not worth it. That's why we're keeping the helmet for the 2-set bonus. It's the exact same story, I think, for the gauntlets down here. You actually lose stats if you put the other gauntlets on. Yeah, 25 stamina, 18 intellect versus 27 stamina. More stamina, 11 intellect, strength, more damage on judgments. Yeah, you lose. You don't even lose that much plus healing because they got like a lot of investment into the plus 2% critical strike chance of Holy Shock. So those are the 2 pieces we're keeping. So that was interesting to find out. What did I want to showcase? I wanted to... I can't remember. Weird. I think Fireproof Cloak has to go. Yeah, we're too thick. This is too thick. We need to customize. Anyways, we need breakpoints. Right, so if I've learned anything about Paladin gearing as far as breakpoints are concerned over the years, it is that all stats gear is your best gear. So it's like if you can get gear that just is kind of doing everything, that's your best stats gear. So this helmet here is technically best stats gear, right? 22 strength, stamina, intellect, critical strike, spell damage, and healing. I mean, what the hell else more do you want? The Marshals gear is the healing gear is kind of doing the same thing, except it's giving you a little bit more spell damage. I don't think a lot of Holy Reckoning and Heal Reckoning builds are really going to synergize too terribly well off that. But Sacred Shield and all the hot healings are still a thing. So I'm going to have to crunch the numbers, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'll go do that at some other time. But it's definitely making gearing one hell of a head scratcher. I'll tell you that much. Do you play like a Reckoning type build? I mean, we're at 200 fire resist with a rag. I tried throwing a rag on rather than an Ashkandi, as you might imagine. What about the Demolisher? Oh, this is an old Demolisher. This isn't Season of Discovery Demolisher. Yikes. I guess we don't get Demolishers quite yet. But I had an Ashkandi on before, and as you can see, we're almost at 7,000 hit points. So it's like, okay, we already have 170 fire resist, so I was like, all right, what if I sacrifice some of this HP in exchange for a Hand of Rag, since the Rag is going to do, similar amounts of damage, probably easier to get than an Ashkandi, unironically. And I'll have even more fire resist. And I just end up still having just way too thick of an HP bar. Like, what the fuck, man? Holy balls. Part of this might be to this stupid Ring of Reckoning and stuff. So if I just type in the magical word of none here, let's see what happens. I'm not going to be impressed, am I? Oh, still have 6,300 HP. Like, okay. Damn. All right. Well, we're just thick as hell. Yeah. So I'm going to have to crunch the numbers. Try to figure out which is best. Well-rounded is usually the best. Almost always well-rounded is the way to go. Like, without exceptions. Well-rounded is the way to go. I just don't know. I don't know. Anyways, I'll end the video here and dig this hole, boys.